In an ever-evolving digital landscape, for your business to thrive, you must adapt or die. Welcome to Marketing in the Age of AI, the podcast helping you harness the power of AI and marketing tools to revitalize and grow your business. And now here's your host, marketing expert and author of Authentic Marketing in the Age of AI, Emmanuel Rose.
Welcome to this episode of Marketing in the Age of AI, and we are still mobile out in Eastern Oregon. I'm talking today from via Starlink, and I'm welcoming to the podcast Bruce Silverman, who is the CEO of Purple Buffalo. With over 35 years of experience in broadcasting and content creation, Bruce is a master storyteller dedicated to helping businesses and individual crafts compelling narratives through innovative content solutions. His leadership at Purple Buffalo has empowered teams to deliver market-ready content that not only captivate audiences, but also builds trust. Today, we'll explore his insights into the intersection of storytelling, content strategy, and the powerful role of AI in shaping marketing efforts. Bruce, thanks so much for taking some time to talk with me tonight.
See, the broadcast veteran muted his mic.
I understand. I go back and forth myself on that. Well, so 35 years, that puts us all the way into the 19s when you started.
Yeah, I started my broadcast career in 1989. Back when I couldn't grow facial hair and I had anchor hair. How things have changed in 35, 36 years.
Well, we know that change is the only true constant, and there is some things that remain fundamental in marketing, even with AI innovations, and so that's what I really want to dig into tonight.
Yeah, I'm happy to. It's very interesting. You're doing a podcast. I produce podcasts. I host podcasts. I create content for businesses and individuals to promote their products and services and tell their stories. And I'm doing this in this time and place where AI is the buzzword, and it's also the boogeyman. And how do people utilize AI at the same time that they can be authentic? And I think that's a real dilemma and a real tug of war for a lot of people right now.
Well, how are you approaching that so that you can work with your clients and have real, authentic, or transparent stories, but still use the tools so that you have a little more time in your life?
Well, for me, the way I've structured this company is we create authentic, real content. Nothing is AI in the content that we create. Now, there's tools that we use in editing and in some of the other aspects, but when we're actually having conversations like you and I are having right now, everything's authentic, everything is real. I mean, I don't even use filters. I'm not wearing makeup. It was funny. I was talking to somebody not too long ago, and they made a joke about wearing makeup, and I said I haven't worn makeup since I anchored, and I still had zits, and that was the only reason I wore. I mean, because I started, it wasn't even 4K, right? So I mean, that's how long ago I started in broadcast. But for me, people want to do business with people that they like, know, and trust. And when you're creating content, there's nothing wrong with AI-driven content. I totally believe that businesses should create multiple forms of content so they can use AI to inform and maybe promote products and services. More than anything else, I think AI in content is great for generating people to get to a website to order something. But when you are more in the service industry, like both of us are, people want to hear from people. They want to hear discussions. They want somebody to ask a question and challenge them. And like, I'm pausing because I'm trying to choose my words. That's something that you just don't see in AI. Yes, I know that you can train an AI bot or an AI avatar to pause and say, and but it's not authentic. It's not real. You're going to ask me a series of questions. I'm going to ask you questions. We're going to go back and forth. That's what people really, really want. And I think in this world that we're living in, where we're really moving to a trust economy, it's when I first started in sales many years ago, I had a manager that always talked about being belly to belly. And it was really just being in front of people. And that meant years ago when I started in sales, before we could meet like this, and it was only telephones. And I mean, I remember when you called somebody on your cell phone and it was like a quarter a minute. And you were upset when they put you on hold for 2 minutes because that wasted 50 cents.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
it's really just about being belly to belly, face to face. Ask me questions, answer them. I'm going to ask you questions, you answer them. Because at the end of the day, you want to do business with people, like I said, that you like, know, and trust. And at the same time, businesses like to do business with real people as well.
Yeah, they have to, because there's always something that goes sideways. We know there's threats, opportunities, and obligations in every situation. We know it's going to go sideways at some point, and we want to have somebody who's going to help us solve it on the other end.
Yeah, and as you're saying this, I started to think about one of the things that you just said triggered me. Um, I'm not even aware that you know this because you're out in the wilderness and it looks beautiful. First time I've ever had a conversation with somebody versus via Starlink. But I mean, I've been to Oregon, beautiful. Never been to the east side. It was always on the west side. But AWS was down for a better part of today. So if we can't count on 100% perfection from a company like Amazon, how can we expect that from a small business? And and the reliance on technology. I say all the time, technology is a wonderful thing when it works.
It is a wonderful thing when it works. And the AWS example is a perfect one. I want to ask you, I got two things I
Yeah.
really want to dig into. One is, do you have a structured storytelling arc, like the hero's journey or something like that? Because I use that one. I also use problem, solution, agitate, call to action. Do you have a structure that you use predominantly?
I have a structure, but it's not like that. My structure is asking my clients, what are the stories you want to tell? What are the products and services that you want to explain? What do you want people to know so that they can buy from you, so that they trust to buy you or use your services? So instead of the arc, I take a slightly different approach. So my services tend to be either we create content that you utilize, and you can do the. I'll back up a second. I can do content and I can do podcasting. And I have clients where we'll do weekly podcasts with them. And everything we do is remote, like we're doing right now. I use a program that can do graphics and logos and tickers and lower thirds, and I can change them, and I can bring in video, and I can bring in video and images into the conversum.
Yeah,
And it's really
what's that service? Tell us what that is.
it's called Hiring Purple Buffalo. And we take care of all of that. In reality, I think that not enough people in business take time to tell their story. And every single business has a story to tell. There's an origin story. There's backgrounds. There's backgrounds on Emmanuel. There's backgrounds on Bruce. Where do they come from? Why are they qualified? Why are they better than the other company? What makes them different? What makes them unique? And so like I was talking to a prospect this morning. It's a moving company. And the guy is from Peru and he came here in 2011. I said to him, well, why did you get into moving? And he said, well, it's sort of what I did in Peru. And, we started getting into just discussing what different things come with his background. And he's got a great slogan for his moving company. We don't break your shit. And I love that because there's nothing more honest in an industry like the moving industry where you say, hey, we're not going to break your shit. And I told him to expand it. We're not going to break your shit. We're not going to steal your shit. And
yeah, and we'll get it there when we say we're going to.
Exactly. And it was like he had really cool background in history. And I said, if you tell that story, people are going to want to get involved with you. They're going to go, hey, that's funny. But in reality, not only is it funny, but it's exactly what I want out of a moving company. So we'll do the background stories, and then we'll get into the different products and services that a company provides. Again, moving company, white glove service where they walk in, pack up all your stuff, move it into the new place, unpack everything, and basically by the time they leave, it's as if you never moved. And then they have
you gotta
all
love
the different,
that.
yeah, you gotta, and then you have all the different services all the way down to you just need a couch or a mattress moved, and they'll do that. And then what I also do is I really encourage my clients to speak to their clients about doing testimonials. We live in this world right now where everyone loves Google reviews. But you and I both know you can get your neighbor, your best friend, your cousin to write a Google review for you, even though they've never done any business with you.
I can order 100 of them from any number of offshore places if I really wanted to.
And there's the difference between reality and AI, right? I used to say, is it live or is it Memorex? And that's basically what we're trying to figure out today, right? Is a video that you're looking at, is it real or was it created with a couple of clicks on a keyboard and a script? And the testimonials that we do are, again, like 10 minutes long. It's a conversation, and you really will get a sense if somebody's full of it or not. And
yeah, I love it. So long form UGC is what you're talking about.
Well, and then we edit each one of those long formats into 30 to 60-second clips. So content across all channels. And what I also do is it's the strategy driven content. We talked about how I go about strategizing, telling those stories, products and services. But then it's like, how can you pair one of those conversations for a client? And what I suggested to this company was when you book an appointment, say, I'm going to send you a video. It's a background on me. And you can also send them a video on the service that they're expecting, and also a testimonial that matches the type of business or the type of concerns that they've expressed to you in the past. Like if somebody says, yeah, I hired this company. They were going to charge me for 3 hours. It took them 6 hours. Then they wanted me to pay them for 6 hours. And if you got a testimonial that says, hey, this company doesn't do this, and they said they weren't going to break my shit, and nothing was broken, that type of video before you walk into the door, that gets you almost to a signature.
Yeah, that's a powerful transition from we're calling and talking to 3 moving companies. We're looking to see what the bid is, and then we'll make our decision.
Yeah, and he was telling me a story about something very similar to what you just said, and there were like 3 different bidders. He was the highest by $700, and they still hired him. Yeah. So when you create this type of when you create this type of content and you're leveraging it constantly in your sales cycle, you're going to close more. You're going to be more efficient. You're going to you're going to be able to educate them a lot better. I live in Fort Lauderdale. There was a clothing company for many, many years in South Florida called Sims. And their slogan was, an educated consumer is our best customer. And I never quite, when I was a kid, I never quite understood how that related to men's clothing. But
Right.
now, as an older person who wears men's clothing and is in
And as a man.
business, yeah, I now understand what that really meant and what it entailed. And I use that. I wish I could steal that slogan, because I really think it is the embodiment of what we do at Purple Buffalo. We help people become educated consumers, because educated consumers will be the best customer for any given business, regardless of the industry.
And we know this, at least in the B2B space, that people are doing between 7 and 12 hours of self-education before they call the first sales rep. So it's not, and I'm sure I mean, it's not that dramatic for business to consumer, but it's the same idea, which is we're going and we're doing a search, we're asking ChatGPT, we're talking to our friends, we have a certain amount of information, and then we're interested in talking to somebody else. So we have to be in the education business.
Yeah, and I don't think enough businesses do enough to educate. Remember when you used to go into an electronics store like a Radio Shack, and they knew everything about every single product that they sold? And you knew that when you walked out of there, you bought the right thing for what you needed. Translate that to 2025, and you walk into stores, and if you can find somebody, chances are maybe 50-50 whether or not they can answer the questions that you had.
Yeah. Well, that's a perfect segue into what the second thing I wanted to talk to you about, which is that we know that Gen Z is a very digital, educated generation. They're now entering into workspace, 28, 29 years old. I need from you, as the silverback mentor, to talk about what you would recommend for these young professionals to read, study, and do in order to be fully fledged professionals in media or other business.
Well, I think, first of all, do your homework. People tend to be lazy. It's interesting. When I started Purple Buffalo a little less than 4 years ago, I did a lot of research on what the market was really like. And I wanted to understand if there was even a market for what I do. And here were a couple of the things that really convinced me that I was in the right business. Number one, 90% of people would prefer to get their information from video than the written word. Okay, so that checked the box right there. When I looked at podcasting, there were over 4 million podcasts listed on Apple. Less than 200 of them, less than 200,000 of them were active podcasts on Apple. So what did that tell me? There was a reason why people want to do content and a reason why they stop doing content. It's a lot of work. You do a regular podcast, it's a lot of work. Here's another stat that I found out. Most podcasts don't get past the third episode. People are all gung-ho, they buy equipment, then they realize this is a lot of work, it's a lot of planning, and I'm not going to do it. That's why we exist. I host the majority of the content that I create for my clients. I do the heavy lifting. I set them up to showcase themselves as professional, knowledgeable, experienced, trustworthy, relatable, passionate, compassionate, educated. And in this world of AI that we're really, talking about, that they're authentic. And so your question to the Gen X, Gen Z, even the boomers that are still working, educate yourself. Don't think that you have to do everything yourself. You have to produce it. You have to do no, you don't. There are professionals like me that can help you create content. I make it so that my clients, it's turnkey. They jump on, everything's planned. Generally, the majority of the content that I create is 10 minutes or less. So that means that I'm very time efficient. I can record up to 4 pieces of content, 10-minute pieces of content in a 1-hour recording session.
Yeah.
That's power. When you have a client, like attorneys, that one of the reasons, I don't have a studio. Everything I do is remote, like you are. I say it all the time. I can work with clients anywhere they are in the world. And literally that's what we're doing right now.
Nice.
You're in the middle of no place with a Starlink. And if you didn't have a Starlink, you and I wouldn't be having this conversation, right? You
Absolutely.
would be enjoying beautiful weather. It's probably, what is it, like 30s, 40s right now?
Oh, no, it's 60s.
Oh, I'm looking forward to that in Florida. We're going to have a day or two of that before the end of the year.
All right, good.
Right. But what I say to people all the time is, we're completely remote. We're completely turnkey. All you have to do is give me your time to answer some questions, talk about yourself, talk about your business. We take care of the rest. We do all the editing. We convert to an MP3. We edit into 30 to 60-second clips. We design, all the design for the visual landscape. And then we send everything to the client. So if they educate themselves and they know they don't have to do it themselves, that they can talk to other people. One of the things as a solopreneur, and I'm sure a lot of the solopreneurs out there that are watching and listening can relate to this, it's difficult to flesh out ideas. Because when you're a solopreneur, you come up with an idea, you keep running it around in your head. You write it down, you take notes, you scribble it out, you change, but you're only kicking ideas off of yourself.
Right.
When you talk about AI, Emmanuel, I use AI as a sounding board, as a way to streamline what I do. Like right now, I'm working on a new project for myself for Purple Buffalo that is going to be a content series of 30 to 60-second clips that I'll put on LinkedIn and YouTube and Facebook and then TikTok, Twitter, and all of that. And it's going to be called Off the Top Content Thoughts from a Bald Man in a Barber's Chair. And I'm going to sit in, I have a barber's chair and I'm going to sit in the barber's chair. And I had a Purple Buffalo branded, it's been so long since I got a haircut. I forgot what they're called. Capes.
Yeah.
And I'm going to wear the cape. And, obviously I haven't had a haircut since I shaved my head in 2006. So I haven't had a haircut in, what is that? 19 years. I can't believe, wow, 19 years. But it's just going to be me just talking about things that people should be thinking about and things that I think about when creating content. And, I hope that some people will get a kick out of it and get the irony of a bald man in a barber's chair.
All right, I like that.
It's, you got to have fun, right? If you're not having fun, then your customers are going to know you're not having fun. It's like, how many times have you gone to a restaurant and you feel like the server is like doing you a favor by being there? That they don't talk, they don't come by the table, and then you get the servers that come by and they're like, "How are you? How's everything? How's your day? Can I make any suggestions? Any special events?" Because it was interesting. I saw a video a few months ago, and they were talking about new restaurants. And they said that if you go to a new restaurant and you have a phenomenal meal, I mean, first rate, best food you've ever had, and the service sucks, you probably won't go back.
Go back, right? That makes sense.
But if you had great service and you had a great experience and average food, you'll go back all the time. And it made me think that's why sports bars work so well. And sports-related themes go so well. Because you're going to have a great experience, and you know that the burger and the wings and the fries and the nachos are going to be okay.
Right. Yep.
And that's
serviceable.
Yeah. And so what I strive for is that my clients have a great time and a great experience. And at the same time, we give them, great quality products to help them promote their business, grow their business, tell their story, whatever their goal is. Some businesses, they just want to tell their story and educate their customers. They just want to be thought leaders. And
Yep.
they don't look at the investment that they make in content as something they have to get their money back on. And then I have some clients that are like, well, if I create content for you and I get one sale, it pays for itself. Those are the clients I love, because those are the clients that get that if you make the investment and you use the content, you're going to get the results.
And the reality of marketing in 2025 is that everything starts with content marketing. It's the hub that drives all of the things.
We're in a. It was another interesting conversation that I had with somebody not too long ago, and I'll pose the question to you, Emmanuel. What are industries that you used to see commercials for all the time that you never see commercials for at all? And I'm talking industries, not even a brand. I'm talking about industries that still exist.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have a good answer for you, Bruce. Why don't you tell me?
Chewing gum. When's the last time you saw a chewing gum commercial?
Right.
When we were kids, Double Mint Twins, Trident, three out of Big Red, 3 out of 4.
Yeah.
Dentists recommend Trident. And then if you're our age, you remember the Saturday morning cartoons, Bubble Yum, Bubblicious, and all of those.
Oh yeah, Big League, the Big League gum,
Big League Chew, and that is an industry you see nothing for. Another industry that you never see anymore. Wine coolers. Remember when we were probably when you and I were in high school and college, it was all about Bartles and James.
That's right. Yeah. Were there Longhorns or were there Shorthorns?
Yeah, and we just don't see those commercials anymore. The brands still exist.
All right. Well, how does that wrap into content marketing, Bruce?
Well, the point I was going to make is, Bartles and James, all those gum companies that we talked about, they have huge budgets and they're not spending it. But for the little guy, the small to medium-sized business, social media and LinkedIn and Facebook and TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, all of those, they leveled the playing field and they made an opportunity for the little guy that has a very small budget to be able to create content, create brand awareness, create brand identity and brand trust without being a Wrigley's gum or Ernest and Julio Gallo, which was the manufacturer and is the manufacturer of Bartles and James.
Yep. No, I love it. I think we're aligned on that. And I think what we know from the studies is that you need to spend 60% of your marketing on branding and 40% of your marketing on transactional marketing. And that's where the highest level of sales come from.
And the cool thing, and I didn't know that stat, but it makes a tremendous amount of sense. And that's 100% of what we do at Purple Buffalo. So I appreciate you bringing me on and sharing this beauty. I apologize that I don't have quite the same vista behind me as you have, because that's I was in Yellowstone and went snowmobiling in January with some college roommates, and that was an incredible vista, but way too cold for this Florida boy.
I believe you. Well, Bruce, if people are interested in having a conversation with you, how do they track you down?
Yeah, I appreciate that. Bruce at purplebuffalo.studio. www.purplebuffalo.studio is the website, and they can call 888-722-7511.
All right. Well, I certainly appreciate your time and your insight around video as a primary driver and the need to tell stories. I appreciate the proselytizing on that, and I agree with you. And hope you have a great evening. Thanks for spending some time with me, and I look forward to another conversation with you real soon.
Can't wait. Enjoy the camping. You got gorgeous weather there, and you're telling me it's the 60s. I might even consider camping in the 60s.
All right. Thanks, Bruce. Good night.
Hey, my pleasure, man. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you. Some really critical concepts that are the fundamentals, which is tell the origin stories, Tell your product and services concepts that are different from the competition, and let your most satisfied customers or clients tell their stories and give you content as well. I hope that this time has been valuable for you. I also hope that you take some time to look into an AI tool or two and use those tools to claim back some time from your work week. And with that time that you spend with your friends, spend with your family, you spend it outside and get away from the screen. It's Emmanuel Rose, Marketing in the Age of AI.
Thanks for listening to Marketing in the Age of AI. Be sure to subscribe wherever you heard this podcast so you never miss a future episode. Your copy of Authentic Marketing in the Age of AI is available at Amazon.com or EmmanuelRose.com. You can also connect with Emmanuel on LinkedIn. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next time.